Samre ya Ghana for nyina twe ano se twepia ediesie mampani na nadadan kwakufu adoso ebi mu ahyase to nsafe na nado wo ahinie na nado wo ho agye so na nado wa na aka yo se maye mbeka ya no ntumu ye mu ye nya amambapafo na emu ye kasanso a mu kunkum ye sensem no doso celebrities be brede omano ababetu nsim nipa ba ko a ode na no ababetu nsim webu enyo bia se journalist ni a ono eye dwuma e wo TV3 and din ene Johnny Hughes na brantie yi nsemi koso nyina ene website on namafo a ena reporting from TV3 say na brantie chirema debi sene ene ma kɔ de ehu na kyese ono de ne buafu am wɔkeka na adwen yie pa ha MCU we Ejura agye ne de empanifu a bo sha ase am oda military magye mo de the president himself na Nana Akuffo ado wagye ne de emochimo no Johnny ogina hui enye say bia wakasa to make the government unpopular and government o ye unpopular emfa ne ho physical mani botomu no no djuma o ye ne tua ne kama onye bididi saban ne gine din wanje ne din a emfa hwe emba mbeka ono Johnny na brabo ana na busu brabo ho na emomu ye security ehu ne hia onu ni security hu ne hia ne bambo se ne be ye oti o memu benya asumji aka se Ghana ne ye woi ade a mekwa akode mesore no na ebia boni bi ensi a je sensem a waka no enye nsem ketebusuafo ye ntie mra Johnny ede nsem we nyina etuja
Morning. Yeah, good morning. It's not good, but what we do, we say good morning anyway because that's what we're taught to do. Good morning. It's not a good morning, let's say, but we are taught to say good morning. Like the Christians would say, it is well. Trust you are fine. Well, so in monitoring events that have been happening in Ejura, and my earliest concerns about Ejura is the fact that we do know that the police themselves acknowledge that Ejura is a flashpoint when it comes to elections in this country. We all know, I mean, since at least from 1992, the police themselves have been telling us, and the security apparatus have been telling us that Ejura is a very, very, very volatile place. It's a flashpoint, as they call it. So violence there, they always find some there. Critical thing, it's been 24 hours since 2 people were killed there. Now, 2 people were killed at the time when another person who had already died within that same space was going to be buried. 24 hours. The Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, which is our President of the Republic, has not uttered a word. And I remember that when George Floyd died, the President tweeted, he uttered a word. 24 hours on, the President of the Republic, who is enjoined by a constitution to protect all of us, has not uttered a word. The Vice President, who is the Chairman of the Police Council, is also not spoken a word, not tweeted a thing. And our Vice President, by the way, is supposed to be a tech-savvy person. He's supposed to be a go-to technology person and all of that. So a little something on Twitter would have helped. The National Security Minister has not spoken a word. Interior Minister has not spoken a word. The Interior Minister earlier spoke about the death of Kaka and condemned it. But this recent one, the Interior Minister had said nothing. And then the Defense Minister has also said nothing. Our Defense Minister, Mr. Dominic Nitiwa, said nothing. Interior Minister Ambrose Dere has said nothing. National Security Minister, Mr. Kandapa, has said nothing. Our Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, has said nothing. Our President, Nana Akufo has said nothing. 24 hours on, everybody is quiet. 24 hours on, my good brother Kojo Ponkroma has not organized one of those press briefings that we usually would organize when something comes up. You remember when people started talking about Galamsey, we organize a Galamsey presser, we go on a tour. When people talk about lands, we organize one. People talk about COVID vaccines, we quickly organize one the next morning. It's been 24 hours. This morning, we're expecting to have one. We have not heard anything. That aside, 24 hours on, a Parliament of the Republic of Ghana is telecasting live, and if you have a TV set, go by it. Telecasting live. Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee on the 2016-2017 accounts, and we all know what happens at the Public Accounts Committee. Go and sin no more. People embezzle funds. People, put state funds in their private accounts, and they tell them go and sin no more. We know what happens there. I mean, if you can actually count the number of people who are punished as a consequence of the Public Accounts Committee sittings that are done. 24 hours on, since some Ghanaians were killed, some were injured, they were shot in the heart, at the back, live bullets, 24 hours on. And our Parliament of the Republic of Ghana decides to show us the Public Accounts Committee of 2016-2017 account. And guess what? Who is there? The Interior Minister, Mr. Ambrose Derry, who has not said a word 24 hours on, is the one in the chair. He's the one being asked questions. 24 hours on, the Interior Minister is in Parliament speaking to camera and to a few members of Parliament about an account that could possibly hold on and wait while we talk about pressing issues. He's there with the IGP, who has been silent. He's there with the Director General of the Ghana Prison Service, who has been silent. He's been there with the Comptroller General of the Immigration Service. He's been silent. He's there with the guys from Fire Service. You know that the Interior Ministry takes care of all of them. CID, Police, BNI, NADMO, all of them. They have all said nothing. 24 hours on, since that nasty incident at Ejura, the MC, who is a direct appointee, the MC, who is a direct appointee of the President of the Republic. In fact, he is the president in the district because he represents the president. The MC, Sali Subamba, is nowhere to be found. Now, yesterday you saw the soldiers out there. Yesterday you saw the soldiers and you saw them aiming. You saw the police with the water cannons. You saw the people. You saw whatever happened there. Now, 24 hours on, the MC, who is supposed to be the boss of the Municipal Security Council, because without his blessings, the military men couldn't have come there. Without his blessings, the police couldn't have acted. 24 hours on, with all the shooting and killing, and the hurt and pain and agony and anguish and anxiety that's there, the MC, who is appointed, not elected by the people, so he doesn't owe the people any responsibility, owes it to the president, is nowhere to be found. Guess what? This morning when we checked, the MC has taken his family to safety. The MC has taken his family to safety. That's what we're told. The MC is saying that he doesn't feel safe. The MC, who is more like the commander-in-chief of the area, says he doesn't feel safe. Now, if the MC is wise enough to take his family to safety and says he doesn't feel safe, who is in charge of security in that neighborhood? And does he in any way think that his people, who is supposed to be superintending over, are safe? That's a question. The MC doesn't feel safe. He represents the president. He is the Ogakpatakpatak. I'm saying without the MCE's blessing, the military couldn't have come into Ejura. Without the MCE's blessings, the police couldn't have acted in a certain way. There's a police commander, I agree, but they do not take decisions without the say-so of the MCE. The MCE says he doesn't feel safe, so he has been wise enough to take his family out of Ejura and has taken them away. In the meantime, the member of parliament is still in Accra. Yesterday he spoke to the press, but he's in Accra. I don't know if he has moved now. But the conversation I want to have is this. You see, I've mentioned a plethora of leaders, elected, appointed, nominated, for whatever it is. There's a commander there. The commander is talking about rubber bullets. The medical superintendent in the area is telling us that the bullets were live bullets. So now, do we believe the medical superintendent who actually is showing us copper shells that we showed on TV as well? Or do we believe the police commander who is telling us that they are rubber bullets? In any case, The police is saying that they will investigate and find the cause of death. When the two people have already been buried in the sand, you are going to dig it and find the probable cause of death. The medical superintendent is telling you that they were shot at close range, directly, looks like close range. He said it. So now the people have been buried. What are you going to look for? It tells you that the police perhaps thinks that the investigations have been concluded. And I can give you a tall list of unsolved murders in this country. A tall list of unsolved murders in this country. The key question I'm asking this morning is this: do our leaders really listen to us, or they just hear us? Because there's a difference between hearing somebody. You can actually hear somebody talking from a distance. You may not be paying attention to listen, because once you listen, you will inspire a certain action. You take a certain action. So do our leaders really listen to us? Or the silence of the president, the vice president, the interior minister, the national security minister, the defense minister, the national security coordinator, and the information minister, and everybody else, will the silence that they are bringing, onto us, will the silence also be explained away as one of those isolated cases? Because when something happens in this country, we talk about it, they say, oh, it is an isolated case. Is it really an isolated case? Is that an isolated case? Or has it become one too many? What is the MCE's background? So we make him MC and automatically he becomes the boss of the Security Council. Then, as Commander-in-Chief, small trouble comes, he's the first to take his family to safety. He says he doesn't feel safe. So the people in Ejura, they are logs of wood, they are bags of charcoal, they are kegs of palm wine, they are sacks of salt. So then, if anything happens to them, it doesn't matter. Is that what he's saying? And these are people paid with our taxes. Your tax, my tax. The tax on your fuel, the tax on your phone credit, the tax on your water, the tax on your electricity, the tax on the bread you buy from the supermarket, the tax on the drinks, the tax from the organizer's service to you, the tax from everything. They are the ones telling you that they don't feel safe. In fact, it is the MCE in that area who controls the property rate, the business operation permit. If there are road tolls, he takes them. He takes everything. He manages everything. He is the Ogak Patak. I'm saying that the soldiers could not have gone there without the permission. And his first option is to carry his people, his family, immediate family to safety. So now you are a young person. You are tied to the apron strings of politicians, and you don't for a second want to think independently. You think that everything is okay. When trouble came, the first thing he did was to take his people to safety. Who is taking you to safety? And like the sister of the slain gentleman asked, who is next? The sister of the slain gentleman is asking, who is next? Check your calendar. Today is the 30th of June. Not long ago, our IGP, who is a retiree who has been given contract and the contract has been renewed, told us after the gruesome murder of a policeman at Adedenko in Accra, told us that by the 30th of June, the close of June, if the banks don't have armored bullion vans, he will withdraw his men from bullion van duties. Today is the 30th. Check how many banks have bullion vans, armed bullion vans, all those bread cutting pickups that they call bullion vans. Check how many banks have it, and check if the IGP has been bold enough to be a man of his words, or to even have the honor to apologize to us, to withdraw what he said in jest, and maybe apologize for it or withdraw. Check if today all the police officers performing bullion van duties have helmets, have bulletproof vests. Check if they have body cams. Check if the cameras that have been installed are working. Go and check and ask yourself. So when we speak, we are speaking not because the government has to be made unpopular. I don't care if the government is popular or not popular. I care for my security. I care for my safety. And it is worrying when a direct representative of the president, appointee of the president to the good people of Ejura, there's trouble there, and the first thing he wants to do is to move his people to safety. I feel very, very, very disappointed. And it's there. And this is not the first time an MCE will move. You remember the Dencho Boase matter with Major Maxwell Mahama. It was Captain Maxwell Mahama, and he was promoted posthumously to Major Maxwell Mahama. You remember that one too? Where did the DCE go? So the DCs who are supposed to be representing the president and protecting the people keep fleeing. They keep fleeing. And we have a very, very indecent appetite. People go out there as policemen, as military men. They go out there in the line of duty because we fail to provide protection for them properly. I mean, how much is a bulletproof vest? $200. How much is a V8? How much is a per diem? How much is the money we use to buy the flags for the children to mass up by the sides of the roads to wave at the president? How much is that? If we put those monies together, couldn't we be able to buy bulletproof vests for the husbands, for the brothers, for the sons, for the cousins, for the uncles of those who are killed in the line of duty every day? We said we're going to give them bulletproof vests. We said we're going to give them helmets. We said we're going to install cameras everywhere. We said we're going to give them body cam. And we make these statements every now and then when a policeman or a military man, whatever it is, gets killed in the line of duty. Then we have a very, very indecent appetite of promoting them posthumously. When I'm dead and gone, you are giving me a rank to go and do what? Or maybe we're going to heaven. The IGP says there's no crime in heaven. So even if you make me a higher ranking officer, what would I be doing up there in heaven with my rank? Sometimes you think about it, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. What happened to our police visibility? What happened to it? We're talking security this morning. What happened to our police visibility, where you find at every junction, every roundabout, when the policeman was killed at Adedinkpo, and for those of you who were in Accra and in other parts of the country, you saw that the police quickly moved to vantage points. This morning, the vantage points where you saw those vehicles after the Adedinkpo matter and people started speaking, go and check if the vehicles are still there. Go and check if the vehicles are still there. And come back and tell me whether 24 hours on, it is prudent enough for our interior minister, the 24 hours on after the Ejura people were killed. Tell me if it is prudent enough for our interior minister to be in parliament before the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, to be seated there with the security chiefs of the IGP, of the Controller General of the Immigration Service, of the Director General of the Prison Service, CID boss, BNI, to sit there with them, all the agency chiefs under him, and to be answering questions on a 2016-2017 accounts, as if nothing ever happened in Ejura. Tell me, as a Ghanaian, if you believe the words that you are safe, when 24 hours on, Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, President Akuffo, is silent. He spoke about George Floyd. He spoke about other things. He spoke about the Nigerian situation. Why is he not speaking about our situation? And by the way, start counting. From December up until now, count the number of young, energized, black, healthy people, young people who have been killed. Count them, from policemen to people who lawyers make public statements to no less a person that as first deputy speaker of parliament. And I was heartbroken when he said that. He's a lawyer, respected lawyer, and we love him. He said the gentlemen were criminals. And we all know that by our law, and by the law that he learned, and by the law that is taught to everybody, even the basics of law that is taught to us in journalism school and all of that, everybody is innocent until proven guilty. Who proved that the gentlemen were guilty in the election violence thing? Or are we replicating what the police, the 7 people in the Ashanti region who were killed, and then the police branded them as criminals? We would later find that they are not criminals, and we went to give their families compensation. Is that what we are doing? Is that what we are doing? We see people, and by their faces we decide that they are criminals. Is that what we are doing? 24 hours on, the vice president, chairman of the police council, he has not said a word. 24 hours on, 24 hours on. We have a national security minister. He has not said a word. 24 hours on, after Ejura, we have a defense minister. He has not spoken a word. We saw the soldiers. We saw them kneeling to aim. At what point do we even start bringing in the military? We have over-militarized every little thing. And this morning I learned that the president of the republic, and I've seen it, the president of the republic is supposed to have an aide de camp, ADC, what people call bodyguard, with him. Since 1992, maybe Jerry Rawlings is not, he didn't start because I saw RSM Tete behind him. But the culture and the tradition has been that it is colonels who play ADC to our president. Check the ADC of our president. Check his rank. He is a brigadier general. By the structure, the president is also a general. He is a commander-in-chief. How does a general follow a general? And this morning when I raised the matter, I asked that question. I got security people WhatsApping and sending messages confirming that what indeed I had said was correct. Now they even add that apart from the president, who is supposed to be giving an ADC, every other minister, even the first lady, Mama Rebecca, is supposed to have a police guard. Mama Rebecca has a major, military police major right behind her. So then the question we're asking is this. We have militarized everything in this country. You heard the conversations about soldiers pounding fufu. You enter the malls these days, you see them pushing carts, following one lady or one gentleman. You see them driving people. You see them doing all manner of work. And you are asking yourselves, why are we cheapening our military like that? Why? The Electoral Commission, the institution called the Electoral Commission, is guarded by the formed police unit of the Ghana Police Unit, Police Service, FPU. They are competent, very, very competent men and women in there. Formed police unit, FPU, and you see their tanks in town. In fact, yesterday the water cannon or water tank in Ejura was that of the FPU, a blue one from the FPU. The Electoral Commission itself, the whole building, the whole institution, is guarded by the FPU. Guess what? When we wanted to provide security for our electoral commissioner, we went to bring soldiers. And you meet the electoral commissioner in town and you think that we are in a state of emergency because she has more than 5 or 6 or 7 soldiers following her. Then you are asking yourself, what the hell is happening in this country? We saw soldiers carrying the files of lawyers. We saw them. And it is no longer funny because now, check, the ministers move and soldiers are following them. Some MPs move in power and the soldiers are following them. Get the soldiers back to the barracks. That's what Colonel Festus Abuaji said. He said, get the soldiers back to the barracks. You know why? Because, and these are Colonel Festus Abuaji's words. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not quoting, I'm paraphrasing. He said, if ever we have problems and we keep calling on the military every now and then to come and fix the problems for us, one day, the soldiers would themselves decide that we can't be called every now and then to go and fix the problems. It appears the people don't know how to handle their affairs, so let us go and handle their affairs. May that day never happen. But that is the conversation. And that is a conversation that must sit with all of us. We have over-militarized everything, that even at common parties and weddings of people in power, big people, you find soldiers lurking and walking around. And I ask myself, what the hell is happening in this country? What the hell is happening in this country? What is happening? That we have militarized everything. And you know what that does? It makes the people lose confidence in the police service. When people start seeing that when there's a matter, and even before the matter escalates, because yesterday whatever happened at Ejura, we had reporters there who were filling us in 247. We had other correspondents from other media houses who were also sending information because they are affiliates, sharing information with us. We saw the video. Have we lost it when it comes to crowd control? Are we suggesting that our police does not have what it takes, the capacity to do crowd control? Is that what we're saying? Because we buy a police helmet, we buy them shield, we buy them body armor. So when it comes to crowd control, we know that they are competent. And we saw it when George Floyd died. You saw how beautifully they controlled the crowd. You saw how beautifully they did. They did it effortlessly. Must our case be always violent? Effortlessly, without sweat, effortlessly. And I'm saying that our people are competent to take the monkey political hands out of their situation, they will perform. Take the monkey hands out of their situation and they will perform. Take it out of their situation, they will perform. We have littered everywhere with politics. Everywhere with politics. Since we started this fourth Republican dispensation, we have had 3 lawyers as presidents: President Akuffo, President Mills, and President Akuffo. All the presidents, they know that there's a problem with the structure in terms of our security, because you cannot have a political appointment of the IGP, the CDS, and hope that everything will be okay, because the IGP answers to the Interior Minister, who himself is a political appointee. The CDS is also appointed politically, and he answers to a defense minister who is a political appointee. Then we create a national security ministry and slap it on the National Security Secretariat. So we have politicalized everything, politicized it to the extent that now we are bowing so much to politics, even in security. And when security matters happen, we try to explain it away with grammar. We call it isolated cases. Go and check the 2014 baseline survey of the Ghana Small Arms Commission. They are talking about more than 2.3 million guns in private hands. 2.3 million guns in private hands. That's more than what our security services have. 2.3 million guns in private hands. Now, of the 2.3 million guns, there's just about 1.3 that are registered. So the rest are not registered. This was in 2014. And that was what we used for our national security strategy. I'll come to that shortly. Now, after we did that, we have not shown the current figures that we have, and even the 1.3 that is registered. You have just about 30 or 40,000 who go to renew their licenses every year. So the question is, where are the rest? In whose hands are they? Who is monitoring them? Who owns a gun? And how are the guns being used? Are we tracking the guns? These are very, very pertinent questions that we should be asking. Then we launch a national security strategy. So is what's happening in Ejura our first test of the national security strategy? Will our national security strategy pass the litmus test? Will it pass the litmus test? Will it pass the litmus test? That's the question we're asking. So it is not about, oh, you have to feel safe. When the people themselves, somebody has been mobbed, he's killed, we're going to bury that person, and then 2 more persons die, 4 others get injured, and you ask yourself, that constituency, the Ejura constituency, that particular constituency was one of the 275 constituencies that we bought ambulances for. That constituency, yesterday, with all the hue and cry when everything was happening, people were being shot here and there. Where was the ambulance? Was it carrying cement as usual? And we are all part of the problem, because when matters come, we do touch and go. Our fire service not so long ago was using, was using taxis to go and fight fire. They didn't even know the magnitude of the fire they were going to fight. They had fire extinguishers. They sat in taxi and they were going to fight fire. Jesus Christ, my Lord. They were going to fight fire in a taxi. Then we had an ambulance carting cement. The cock and bull story that it was not in the fleet. When it was outdoored at the Independence Square, it was given to somebody who is monitoring. And I thought those ambulances had tracking devices. Just catalog the issues. So the problem is that we have a huge albatross on our necks that we need to fix, and we need to stop playing sitting pretty. I'm saying it is unacceptable that 24 hours on after Ejura, President is silent, Vice President is silent, Interior Minister is silent. National Security is silent. Defense Minister is silent. Everybody is silent. Guess what? Interior Minister is in Parliament answering questions on the 2016-2017 accounts. We all know what happens at the Public Accounts Committee. And another interesting thing, the militarization. Since last year, soldiers were deployed during the registration exercise. We saw how the soldiers invaded some communities, and we were told that they were policing the borders. But recently TV3 showed you a documentary called The Porous Borders, where we showed you how the people in uniform themselves are complicit in people crossing to and fro with all manner of things. Then you saw the soldiers get into Parliament. Up until now, we don't know who made the call to get the soldiers into Parliament. Who made the call for the soldiers to get into Parliament? Who made that call for the soldiers to get into Parliament? Who made that call for the soldiers to get into Parliament? Who has answered that? What has become of Howard Combs's shooting incident at the registration? She admitted. She said, I shot the sheriff. She admitted. Who admitted? What has happened in that particular matter? You remember the 436 pistols that were seized? They were impounded. You remember them at the ports? Over 400 pistols. Who has spoken about them again? Who has spoken about them again? There's galamsey. There's shooting. There's everything that is happening. And when you talk, we organize nice press conferences and we keep talking about it and we keep polishing everything with English. We didn't vote for people to come and be speaking English to us. We didn't vote for people to come and be speaking English to us. We didn't. We didn't. We didn't. So if things are getting out of hand, and guess what? The Kaka gentleman who died, he was on Facebook talking about the ills of society. He was on Facebook talking about bad roads, talking about hospital. He was on Facebook talking about Bola and all those things. Yesterday, when we took you into the Ejura hospital, you saw that there were no beds. So the gentleman, what he was talking about, for which some people attacked him, exists. Not to rule out the fact that, well, he may have had issues with some people. The police are investigating. But I'm saying that at least we do know that he was on Facebook doing what I'm doing, talking about the ills of society. And like the sister asked, who is next? I don't know. But the issues that he spoke about, that there are no beds at the hospital. Yesterday, when we took you to the hospital, we saw it. In fact, 2 of the injured persons were put on the floor. Empano ebiniho. Empano ebiniho. Where was the ambulance? You saw the roads. Where are the street lights? We pay everything. They deduct everything from us. We pay every single thing. They deduct everything from us. And yet you ask yourself the questions. Why is it? Why is it that our clergy are CSOs? Clergy, Christian Council, CSOs, you find them. We are marching here. We are doing this. Why are they all quiet? Peace Council, clergy, and why is everybody quiet? And I will refer you to 2016 or prior to 2016. Do you remember Occupy Flagstaff House? You remember that? You remember Occupy Flagstaff House? Go back to that video. Check the people on demonstration that day. Occupy Flagstaff House. I am daring you. Check the people in that video back then. I remember that day it was raining. I went to cover that event. Right in between the National Theatre and the Children's Park, they came face to face with the police. It was Cephas Atta who was in charge. And he was speaking for the police. They stopped them. They went head on with the police and they broke through and they came to present their petition. Today, those people are in very juicy positions. I saw Ken Oforiatta. I saw Yofi Grant. The list is endless. I saw Esankuma. We saw all of them. Why are they not speaking today? Because the things they complained about then are the very things that are happening, perhaps even worse. So why are they not speaking today? And the people say fix the country, then we have a counter that fix yourself, and then we have the vice president come, list 70 items that have been done and says we are fixing it. Fair enough. But must it take the vice president to come and remind the people what the people were told before the elections that was being fixed? Must it take the vice president? Because the vice president organized results fair, correct? The vice president launched a website, delivery.gov. All the achievements of the government in the first term was put there. So the people are telling you that what you are telling them, they cannot see it. Then you come and list the things again. Fair enough. A reminder is always good. But the key concern is that the issues the people are talking, are they real or not? Are they real or not? When Fix the Country started, people were talking about petrol prices. Then quickly, a meeting was hurriedly arranged. A communique was written, not even on a letterhead. The minister signed it. Other people signed, MPA, everybody signed it. Then the MPA margins were dropped by some pesos, about 9 pesos or 8 pesos. I can't immediately remember. Then fuel prices were reduced. Then we reduced it to 6.050. Have you gone to the pump recently? From what was reduced, about 8 pesos or so, that was taken off it. Then it came to 6.050. Now it has shot up to 6.230. If you be man talk, 6.230. It may go up again. And I'm saying that the people who spoke back then, why are they not talking again? People say it's table manners. I don't know. But for me, my biggest shock is that 24 hours on, after Ejura, lives have been lost. You see, when things of this nature happen here, locally, and we don't talk about it, and things happen on the foreign front, even in other African countries, and we are quick to talk about it, it gives you an impression that our leaders, they only hear us, they don't listen to us. Now, if they hear us, but they don't listen to us, but they are supposed to be serving us, the question is, are we being properly served? Are we being properly served? Think about these things and have a good morning.